Hey guys, my name's Shannon and welcome back to my booktube channel where I talk about books. Today we're doing my June wrap up. So I read eight and a half books. So let's just get right into a little bit of stats and then we'll just break down the books like really fast. Okay? All right. So like I said, I read 8.5. I'm saying half because I DNF'd one, but I made it 64% through the book before I DNF'd it. I read 1,666 pages. I listened to 60.7 hours. And my top two genres were romance and LGBTQ+. I listened to 6 audiobooks. I read 1 physical book and I read 1 digital book. And then my average star rating for June was 4.09. I don't know why it didn't just round it up to 4.1, but I got these stats from Storygraph. I'm really loving Storygraph. They really break down the stats. This is not a sponsored video, but Storygraph, you are doing something right, my friend. So we're gonna go in order of the order that I read the books the month and not like any other order, just the first book I read to the last book I read. The first book that I read this month was A Lady for a Duke by Alexis Hall. Alexis Hall is the author that wrote Boyfriend Material, and I listened to that I think last year and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining, so I listened to A Lady for a Duke and it was okay. I gave it 3 stars. The thing that really like took me out of the book is the language. I guess I need to tell you a little bit about the book first. So A Lady for a Duke is about a trans woman. It's kind of like Bridgerton. So think like Bridgerton era. It's a friends to lovers. So her friend from when she was not out yet and not a female comes back into her life. It's a lot about learning to love yourself, learning to be like gentle with yourself, and I loved that aspect of the book. But what I didn't like was, so like the time period that it's in, like Bridgerton, the language and like how people and the mannerisms are very specific to that time period. Sorry, I kicked my camera. Some of the language in the book didn't fit the time period. It was more like modern and it was like really pulling me out of the book. And then also like during like the steamy moments, like the steamy scenes, some of the word choices, I just started cracking up laughing because I could not take it seriously. It's like it was just the way that things were worded that really just took me out of the book. Do you know what I mean? It was like cringy romance. You know, it really was. I liked the book. If the romance scenes were like closed door romance, I think I would have liked it better because it was just cringy the way it was. It just didn't do it for me. 3 stars. Next, I listened to Just by Looking at Him by Ryan O'Connell. This was a 4.5 star read for me. I thought this was fantastic. It's a very, very spicy book. Very spicy. So I mean, like, I was sitting at work, like, doing my mundane work tasks, and I was listening to this, and I actually had to stop listening to it, because I was like, do people hear what I hear? Because I hope not. It was very spicy. It was very good. There's a lot of disability rep in this book. There's also LGBTQ+ rep in this book. It talks about, like, sex workers, which is something that I haven't really read a lot about, and I actually thought that this book was a nonfiction book for a while. Thinking about that now, it's funny because the main character's name is not Ryan, but I thought that this was a nonfiction book. I thought it was so real that it was nonfiction, but it's not. It's a fiction book. And it's fantastic. 4.5 stars. I definitely recommend it. Then I read Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. So just by looking at him must have done something to my brain and I needed more. So I picked up Planet Barbarians. This book was all over TikTok for a long time. I don't know if it's still popular on the booktubes or the TikToks or the gram, whatever kids are using these days. But I enjoyed it. I'm gonna be honest. I gave it 3.5 stars. I definitely think that this book could have been a very solid 4 stars or 4.5 stars if she would have expanded on the plot a little bit more. Like, if she would have focused more on, like, why they were, like, the planet that they were on, why the green basketball head aliens took them to begin with. Like, if there was another, like, confrontation with them and the aliens, I think that really would have pushed this book over the edge to, like, a 4 stars, 4.5 stars, maybe even a 5-star book. I'm being completely honest. But, like, you know, that's not why this book was written. You know, it wasn't a plot-based book. But the plot that was there, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I mean, like, the smut was good, too. It was good. Like, it didn't feel like I was reading about aliens, but I was. So I'm on the fence if I'm going to continue reading this series. I do have Kindle KU for another month, and I think I'm just gonna do it. Yeah, why not? I decided. Adding it to my TBR. We're doing it. Then I listened to I Kiss Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. I really, really loved One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. So I was very excited to pick up I Kiss Shara Wheeler, but I didn't love it as much as I liked One Last Stop. One Last Stop, I feel, is just, like, iconic in my brain, but I Kiss Shara Wheeler is not. I gave I Kiss Shara Wheeler a 3.75. I mean, it was good. It kind of felt like a John Green book mixed with 13 Reasons Why. I feel like these kids were just kind of, like, thrown into this scavenger hunt for these pink notes with, like, no real reason why. Like, I feel like it was just to out all of these kids. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler. I am a little bit salty. It really felt like a John Green book, like Looking for Alaska meets 13 Reasons Why. That's what it felt like. And I wanted more from Casey McQuiston. I really did. Next, I listened to Steelstriker by Marie Lu. This is the second book in the Sky Hunter duology. I really liked this book. I gave it 4 stars. I wish that it was a trilogy because I think that, like, I would have loved to just live in this world for, like, another book. But we can't. So I think that the way that Marie Lu wrapped it up was it was good. It was very entertaining. There were a couple moments when I didn't really know what was going to happen next, which is what I expect, like, what I want from a book to, like a book series. And, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I will definitely be picking up more of Marie Lu's books in the future. Then I borrowed Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher from the library on audio. And this one was just it's, like, cozy and a little creepy. And it's probably one of my new favorite, like, fantasy fairy tale books. I gave it 5 stars. I know my tone doesn't sound like I loved it, but I loved it. Some of my favorite characters were not humans, like a demon chicken and, like the tooth dancer, and the bone dog. Those were my favorite characters, to be honest. I mean, I liked the main character too, but how can you pass up a bone dog? You can't. I want a physical copy of this book so I can just reread it in the future. 5 stars. And then I finally finished House of Earth and Blood. I've been trying to finish this book since February, and don't let that dissuade you. I gave this book 5 stars. So this is a chunky book. She's 800 pages, and the first 600 pages are a lot. It's a lot of world building. This is, like, I don't know, there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to uncover in this new world because it's kind of modern. It's like they have technology, they have cell phones, they have magical powers. There's different types and like classifications of like people. So there is a lot, and there's like government, and there's policies, and there's a hierarchy. Like there's a lot. So like the 600 pages, it was just establishing like all of this. There's also like drugs and like a drug ring and like underground, and like there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff. But then the last 200 pages, it was like nonstop adrenaline roller coaster ride. I cried, I laughed, I was like flipping through the pages like so fast to just get all of the like information into my head. I think that I would just reread the last 200 pages again, because so much happened. It was fantastic. I'm sure so many people have talked to you about this book, and like even this is the second time that I'm talking to you about this book. Nice. We're gonna hold my bun up here because I'm not stopping to fix it. But yeah, this was one of my favorite books so far this year. 5 stars. Then I read The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. This book reminded me a lot of like Annihilation. It's like a portal fantasy, like portal sci-fi fantasy. And it's like this girl gets a divorce, and she goes back to live with her uncle in this oddity museum. And in the museum, there's a portal, and this portal takes them into another world of portals. And it's crazy. Like the imagery of these places and these portals was giving me total Annihilation vibes. If you read Annihilation, you totally get what I mean. It was pretty good. It was very entertaining, and I liked that it was wrapped up pretty well, like within the book. Like it had a satisfying ending, I think. And the otter, evil otter. There's an evil otter. An evil wooden otter. Yes. I mean, I listened to this after I read House of Blood and Earth, or Earth and Blood, Crescent City. And there's an otter in that one, and it's real cute, and it has a little yellow vest, and it like delivers things to you. So like reading this after I read that, it was just hilarious to have 2 otters in books back to back, and one was good and cute and tiny, and the other one was not. But yeah, it was pretty good. I gave it 4 stars. I think it was pretty solid. If you like portal fantasies, I definitely think this is a good book for you. And then the book that I DNF'd is The Honest Enneagram by Sarajane Case. I've had this book on my Libro FM shelf for a long time, and I was like, okay, I finally want to know what my Enneagram type is. I'm gonna go ahead and listen to this book. This book did not help me at all. I got 64% of the way in. There's 9 Enneagrams, and I think I got to type 6, and it was just like repeating the same stuff over and over and over again for each different Enneagram type, and it was not helping me at all. I just think I'm every type of Enneagram. I was so frustrated to listening to the same thing over and over again that I can't even make it to type 9. And maybe that says what type I am. If you know how to figure out what type you are, please let me know, because I would love to know. If you know what type, Enneagram type you are, tell me in the comments, and tell me how you figured it out, because I would love to know. If you want to see more videos from me, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you like this video at all, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And that's it. I'll see you guys next time.